Welcome to Lesson 3, Getting to Know the Workspace. In this lesson, you discover how to use the new Photoshop CS3 streamlined interface. Notice the single column toolbar off to the left and the palettes that are collapsed to icons on the right. I'm going back to the toolbar and expanding this to two column by simply clicking on the gray bar, and I'm selecting a hidden tool. Now, any of these tools that have a little triangle down in the lower right indicate that they have tools that are hidden within them. So I'm selecting the smudge tool, and I'm coming over, and you're going to see that I'm just going to choose to smudge some of these seeds. Now, you're also seeing in this little cursor here the diameter of the brush that I'm using. If your brush is too small or too large, you can expand the brush by pressing the right bracket key. Now, this is the bracket key off to the right of the P key, or by hitting the left bracket key to make it smaller. That is directly off to the right of the P key. Now, if you're not seeing this cursor, you might have your caps lock key down. Notice that when I have my caps lock key down, this changes into a precision cursor, and when I release the caps lock key, I come back to seeing my cursor again. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple other things here. I'm going to access a palette, and you'll notice that I'm accessing the history palette. And the nice thing about these collapsible palettes are that when you want to use them, they do pop up. And you'll see that in my history palette, I can go back to my saved version. And then if I want to continue and do something perhaps with another palette, like the actions palette, when I click on this, it hides the history palette for me and brings up the actions palette. And perhaps I just want to run a sepia toning action on here. So I select sepia toning and click the go button. So hopefully you'll be able to access your palettes a little bit easier. Notice that you do have tooltips as you go across some of these palettes. Also, if you are instructed to access a palette and you can't find it over here as you're going through the lessons, you can also use the window menu, and all of your palettes are listed here. The ones with a check mark are already visible. If they don't have a check mark, you can release on the name to bring it forward. In this part of the lesson, you're going to find out how to navigate and zoom into your images a little bit easier. By learning the keyboard shortcuts and where the tools are to navigate your image, it'll make the lessons a lot easier to perform. Now, I have an image in front of me that is just the actual size as the image opened, but notice that I can press the Control or Command plus, and as I do this, it zooms in or minus out of the image. Now, by pressing Control or Command 0, I can also fit the image on the screen. Now, note that if I hit the Tab key, that my palettes do disappear, or if I hit Tab again, they do come back. But if I do hide them and then press Control or Command 0, I can even extend my image further. Now, I'm just going to press the Tab key to bring everything back, and I'm going to press Command or Control 0 again, and you'll see that it now reduces to the size so that I can see my palettes and my toolbars at the same time as working. Now, as I'm working in here, perhaps I want to zoom into the dandelion area. Couple ways that you can do this. A lot of people just choose the zoom tool and then just click, but it's not a really good controlled way of zooming in. I'm in fact going to press Control 0 here, and then click and drag while I have the zoom tool selected. Now, by clicking and dragging a marquee selection area and then releasing, I can zoom in specifically to an area and really work on it closely. When I'm finished, I can press Control or Command 0 to zoom back out and perhaps zoom in to another area, and press Command or Control 0 when I'm done working in there. Now, next I'm going to access the Navigator palette. And by clicking on the tab of the Navigator palette, I can actually undock it and bring it out so you can see it a little bit better. And I'm using the scale tool here to zoom in and out of my image. So you'll see this little slider down here, and I'm pulling it to the right to zoom in, pulling it to the left to zoom out. And you'll see a proxy area created here that I can slide around. So I can see the entire image, but yet I can zoom into just specific areas as I need to. Now, when I'm zoomed in, I can also hold down the space bar, which is the shortcut to take me to the hand tool, and just push this image around. And sometimes that's a lot easier than trying to figure out these scroll bars. So use some of these keyboard shortcuts and tips and tools to help you navigate these images as you go through the lessons in the rest of this book.